listening to the recording, thank you for being here. Thank you to Nora Marie for being here in real time. And a special thank you to ECIS for putting this on. Abby's at the controls here today. And our presenter is Samantha Fernandes. Samantha is the administrator for the Center for Education Action Research, and that's at the Al Fatame Education Foundation in Dubai. We met in the past, I guess, online at one of these webinars. Welcome to Emel, coming from Turkey. Nice that you could join us. This is a production, I guess, of ECIS and of the Special Interest Group for Research-Informed Schools. Emel is on that group. There's several other people there. And we're all about spreading the word of action research as professional development and as something that we feel pretty strongly should be in schools. So I was excited to run across Samantha and hear about what they're doing in Dubai, and she'll share the details. We'll have a little bit of presentation and then some discussion and informal conversation. So thank you very much for being here.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. So like Paul said, I'm Samantha. I'm from the Center for Education Action Research here in Dubai. Part of my role is to oversee some of the day-to-day operations of the center. I coordinate some of the research activities with our teachers and our schools. And I also do a lot of outreach, a lot of promoting SEER's work through publications and podcasts and LinkedIn and all of that. So you will hear me saying SEER. That's our acronym for the Center for Education Action Research. So just putting that out there. So for today, I thought some of the objectives that we'll go through this presentation will talk about integrating action research into teachers' professional development, the value of collaborating in driving impactful research in our school communities, as well as how we can establish this collaborative research culture in our schools. So what is SEER? So SEER was basically created with a simple and just powerful purpose to make action research part of a teacher's everyday school life. It was the vision of our director, Mrs. Simon O'Connor, who wanted to really push this concept in schools in the UAE because that was something that was lacking here in the UAE. And really, it's just we operate with the main aim of getting the research out there, finding out what's going in our classrooms in the UAE and how we can learn and share that knowledge across other schools in the UAE, particularly because there's not enough research done in the classrooms. So why did we create the center? Like I said, we did it mainly for the teachers. We know that teachers experience firsthand what's working, what's not working in the classroom, what changes are required. They have an authentic real-time insight into what's happening. So who better to capture that data than teachers? We also wanted to build a culture across our schools. So Al Fatame Education actually has two schools, Dera International School and Universal American School. So we wanted to start with our two schools to kind of be to build this culture of research. How can we get teachers to explore and challenge their practice through action research? But then we also wanted to take this, not limited just to our two schools, also expand this concept to a network of schools where we can openly share what we've learned, and everything is open access. We can share our knowledge because it's not necessary that we have to just work independently. We can rely on other schools and our network of schools to learn what's going on in our classrooms. And finally, for the students, we believe that this work directly impacts and improves student outcomes as well as their engagement. They are the first ones who would feel the impact of the action research that teachers conduct. So how we work is we work with a network of schools. Firstly, I said that Al Fatame Education actually has two schools, but we've expanded this to other schools in Dubai. And some of you may not know how the international schools here, some are independent and small schools, and some operate under big educational institutions. So what we have done is we have created this alliance of schools that are comprised mainly of the smaller independent schools who were selectively chosen because of their non-affiliation to a large educational group. And this was done mainly because, so we have create our own network. We don't have a large, like a parent group that we need to rely on, to share that knowledge and stuff. Like we can create a small community with these schools. And also we worked with the University of Birmingham, Dubai. So basically they run through their School of Education. They run something called the Action Research Network program. And there's a professor there, Mr. Phil Anderson, who actually runs this program. And what it is essentially is it's online sessions that teachers can participate in, where they learn everything about action research. So right from the basic concept of like, how do you conduct literature review, how do you collect your data, how do you analyze that data, right to presenting. So it kind of gives teachers like a basic understanding of action research, and it adds a level of like an academic structure and rigor to some of the research work that you're doing. And finally, we also work with organizations. These are professionals across like the educational field here in the here and globally. And basically the point why we work with them as well is so that we add another layer of support for our teachers. So if I can give you an example of ClassPoint, one of our teachers from last year was doing a study on ClassPoint and wanted to see how that worked in a year 6 classroom. So we reached out to ClassPoint. We spoke to a senior level manager, and they were so interested in knowing what this teacher was going to do, because they had no idea. They had never done research in a classroom in UAE. So for them, they were really engaged right from the get-go. They were ready to provide resources. They were ready to provide case studies from other countries, and they were really ready to and listen to what this teacher had to say about how ClassPoint was working in our school here. It was actually a teacher in our school at Dera International. So we could see that, it's a mutually valuable experience for both the teachers and for these organizations, because they both get to collaborate on a topic that's close to them. So SEER we're only in our second year. We'll actually be completing our second year in June of the next month. But in this 1 year, we have seen a really big jump in participation in 2023 for the academic year 2023-2024. We only had 7 schools and 25 teachers who participated in action research. It was very much proof of concept for us at this stage. And, we wanted to see how far we could take it, what we could learn from this first year, and what we could do in our second year. After the first year, when other teachers saw what was happening, what we were doing, how teachers were so engaged, we had a jump in schools that wanted to be part of this program. So we got another addition. We got 15 schools now. We've got 120 teachers almost like actively engaged in an action research project right now. And it's really been impressive, because we can see that the teachers are ready to take the opportunity to take ownership of their work, of their own development, and they really want to engage. They want to inspire teachers in their schools as well to do the same. So we really see that significance to the teachers, like they can see the impact of it. We've also become more visible, just not in our schools, also in the wider education landscape here in the UAE. So in our first year, in May 2024, we had a mini conference as such, because we only had, as I said, we only had 25 teachers at that time. So we had like a mini conference where we presented these teachers' research through posters over here. And we invited several principals from other schools, people in the education community here in the UAE, to come and see what the teachers were doing. And that was really good, because it was a chance for us to celebrate the work of the teachers. We also created a journal. It's just an in-house journal. It's not really an academic, you wouldn't call it like a peer-reviewed journal. It's just the teachers writing up their projects in a more academic structure that we published. And the point of this was just to make their work, again, more visible, share it with a broader audience, distribute this at conferences and things where we really wanted people to see the work of our teachers and really celebrate that work. What we've also done in the last couple of years is we've taken every opportunity to present at a conference if we were invited. So one of them was like the World School Summit that was last year in November. And there's the British Schools in the Middle East Workshop annual conference that was earlier this year. And we not only did we talk about SEER, but we also invited a couple of teachers to come and present their work at these conferences because we really wanted them. Like, it's not often that a teacher goes to a conference, an education conference. So we really wanted to give them a platform where they could share their work in their own words. Yeah, so in 2024, these were the projects that we completed in our first year. And you can see that it spans from teaching and learning. We've got coaching, professional development, Islamic education, AI, ELL, culture. And you can see that all of these topics are so personal, they're so contextual to our setting here in the UAE. For example, if you look at English language learners, we have a large number of students here in our international schools. We have a large number of ELL students. And so you can really see that teachers really want to look into this more and see how we can better support our ELL students. And you can see some of the projects that they're doing. Similarly, with culture, you can see one of the teachers wanted to see how we could better serve our Arab students. What do we need to do? How do we need to change our teaching to better serve our students? For this year, for 2025, because we have so many teachers signed up this year, we've got nearly 100 research projects. We've got a lot more topics. This time we've got more student well-being has come into the spotlight this year. Student engagement, motivation, a lot more people want to study digital learning now. And then we also have things like subject-specific, like math, science, language development, so Islamic education. So a lot of these smaller areas also popping up. But again, all of these topics, all of these research has all been teacher-driven. These are all things that they personally want to look into and that they want to explore in their practice. So for us, what's actually worked, some argue that teachers can't be researchers, but we believe that teachers are researchers and all they need is guidance, whether it be through coaching, it be through mentorship, to leadership engagement, whatever, they just need support and guidance. And that's what we've tried to do as a center. We try to provide a very good supportive structure, but without making it too rigid, without making it like a mandatory thing that they need to do. Teachers just sign up for this voluntarily. We do not push them to say, you have to do this project for this year. It's up to you. If you can complete it, if this is something that you can achieve, we want you to go for it. So what for us has been really successful is the University of Dubai, Birmingham Dubai partnership. This collaboration has been really helpful in giving us credibility and academic expertise to the teachers. Their sessions have been really beneficial, and they're very good with helping teachers get the resources they need, answering questions, providing them, the steps that they need to do to complete an action research project. What we've also done is leadership engagement. So the picture that just popped up now is actually some of the principals from the schools in our network. So we try to have a meeting with them at least 2 times a year, once in the beginning and once in the end, because we know principals have a lot on their plate. Just to identify like what's going on in the school, how can we better help them, what kind of support do teachers need, are there any challenges that we can address as a community to help our teachers complete their action research. And this has been really good because the principals are also involved, and in case they need to do and provide any further support for their teachers in their schools, they're able to take action immediately. We also do in-person sessions with the teachers who have signed up for doing an action research. So we meet around 4 times a year. And the whole point of these sessions is it's kind of like a check-in point at each stage of your project. Like the beginning session was about establishing your research area, what project, what are you looking into? And like say the middle one would be like collecting your data. But all of these meetings, what we try to do is we get teachers from other schools to sit and connect and talk about their topic with each other and share resources, share articles, share things they've read that might be beneficial to another teacher. So this has really been a great space for teachers to just connect with someone else and about a similar topic that they might also be studying. The external partnerships have been also really good. Like some of the teachers who have been able to connect with an external partner has really found it beneficial. They've been able to get understand the real world context of their project. Quest, like I said, is a journal that we did in-house, has been, again, great for professional recognition for teachers. They really do want to write up an article. They really do want to like make it more formal, kind of put that out into the world. And our social media presence. You'll see on our LinkedIn, we're constantly like talking about our research projects. We also have a podcast that we do where we talk to teachers, we talk to principals, and we just try to push the concept of action research and why it's so important for teachers to do this kind of work here in the UAE. What we've learned in the last couple of years is that, of course, it's a very long-term strategy to get action research going in the schools, but it requires a lot of different strategies to get teachers to sustain and keep that momentum going. So first of all, for teachers, we keep stressing that research doesn't have to be intimidating. Initially, when you tell a teacher like, oh, you have to complete this action research, you have a year to do it, they just don't, they feel a little bit apprehensive, like, oh, why do I need to do this? Like, what's the benefit of me doing this? But when you tell them, like, when you show them when you say them, it's a light touch, it's a very manageable approach. The way this has been designed is for it to incorporate within your existing workload. Thereby, it makes it a little less overwhelming for them. And we also, like, what's been helpful is we always use some of the teachers from our first year as examples of how they've been able to incorporate the action research into their existing workload. So that's been helpful to kind of get new teachers on board. We've also realized that they need a lot of structure and a lot of support. So at the beginning of the year, we create a sort of a schedule. These are the online training sessions. These are the in-person sessions, and kind of try to provide dates and times so that they're able to see, okay, this is what I have to commit to. This is how I need to plan my time, and this is how I fit it into my schedule. The other thing we've learned is the cross-school collaboration. We really need to push for that because, again, when we do these in-person sessions and we see teachers talking and connecting to someone else from another classroom, you can see the buzz in the room. You can actually see, like, sometimes our sessions, we have to tell teachers, okay, the session has ended, you're free to go home, but you can see that they're still like engaged in a conversation. They're still interested to hear what the other person has to say. And this has really helped break down that silo for us because, again, we're not operating independently. We can share the knowledge between this network of schools and learn from each other. And again, like I said, the partnerships have had a lot of credibility, a lot of fresh perspective. So building partnership is really important aspect also. And finally, visibility encourages momentum. This was, like I said, we try to showcase our projects at every opportunity, whether it is through a conference, through the podcast, through the Quest Journal. We keep trying to find opportunities where we can celebrate our teachers' action research projects. Like some principals have also asked, oh, can we just like put up a poster in our hallway so people, the teachers post a research poster in our hallway so everyone can see what teachers are doing. And like, it's just like celebrating those moments in those ways that really it builds the excitement for action research, and teachers are able to see the impact of it as well. So in conclusion, we've realized we've seen a lot of teachers return for the second year. Like a lot of the teachers who participated in the first year, a lot of them have come back in the second year, either to continue or build on their previous work. Some are actually doing completely different topics because they've seen the benefit of it. They've really enjoyed the process. They've really enjoyed their work being shared across different platforms. And so that's one of the more tangible benefits that we've seen in this last couple of years. But at the same time, we're also improving pedagogy. We can see that across all these schools where, I mean, this is just an approximate number, but at least about 20,000 students are impacted by by these action research projects. The research is open, it's shared, as I said earlier, but we're also able to get a better cultural understanding of our school culture. And we're not necessarily, and I've like said this earlier as well, we're not like international schools here often think that, I mean, we often think of them as competitors, but here we're actually worthy rivals supporting each other. We're providing a platform where all these teachers can come together and talk about their research projects. And from a staff perspective, we also see a lot of like staff well-being, the staff retention. But one of the main things that we have noticed is the fear of missing out, the FOMO part of it. Because when teachers and other schools, they see what we've been doing, they can see the buzz, they can see, how it's been working for these other schools, how these teachers' research has been shared, and they really want to be a part of it. And a great example of this was actually at one of the conferences when we presented at the World Schools Summit. A lot of the people who had come from other countries were like, oh, how do we take this back? How do we replicate the same process that you have done back in our schools and back in our countries? And that in itself has been a real it's been really nice to see that people want to do this in their own schools as well, and they want to get their teachers to engage in action research as well. For us, so what's next? We know we're just completing our second year. We know that we need to maintain and sustain this growth across our schools. We're not really accepting a lot of schools to just join in. We're kind of trying to grow slowly with adding 1 or 2 schools a year, because we want to make it sustainable. We want to make it manageable. And we want to give teachers that attention that they need for these research projects. We also want to make it a more core part of our professional learning and school development. It's not, as I said, it's not mandatory for teachers to sign up for this initiative. It's optional, whether they want to do it or not. Some have actually dropped out during the year. Some just told me, like maybe last week, that they're not continuing their project anymore. They'll only be doing it next year. So it's not really a mandatory thing, but we want to move towards something like that. We just don't know how we're going to do that yet. And we also want to do something more formal for the teachers to progress. Like, as I said, Quest is just an in-house publication, but something where they could the next step for them would be to publish in a peer-reviewed journal. So how do we develop the project to go to that step, increase and strengthen our collaboration? And finally, we want to position SIG as a thought leader for school-based research. And of course, if you want to follow us on LinkedIn, the code's right there. If you go on our website, you'll see all of the teachers' research projects there. We've kept everything open access. Like I said before, we want people to see what our teachers have been up to. Yeah, and that's it from me. I'm ready to hear your thoughts.
Amazing. There's so much there, and I can't believe that you've come that far in, like, you haven't even completed 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So 15 schools, 120 plus people working on things. Amazing. And from the professional development literature, it seems like you're doing absolutely everything right. So you have autonomous volunteer sort of basis, get involved with heavy collaboration, all classroom based and all ongoing over a significant amount of time. It's absolutely amazing. And I want to ask one question before just asking anybody else if you want to ask anything.
Yeah, of course.
Do, do you work with school, like say a school isn't going to become a member because of your growth strategy and so on, but somebody contacts you saying, how do we set this up? Or you mentioned in conferences, people ask, how do we set this up? Are you working with schools, just providing some advice and a little bit of guidance for other places? Are they contacting you?
Not yet, because right now we've just had inquiries mainly about joining SEER.
Right, right.
So at the conferences, the schools did ask, but we kind of presented, we kind of did like a workshop with them.
Yeah.
And like, think of ways that you could collaborate, think of, like try to do it in baby steps, but we
Right.
don't actually have a we don't have a formal kind of
I think
process yet.
I think get ready, right? Because as
Yeah,
people learn about you, they're going to want to
yeah,
put their own thing, and then you'll want to. I mean, right now you've developed so much that it could look overwhelming for a new school, but new schools can start small, like you said, and
yeah.
should. So let's open it up to anybody who would like to ask a question. Marie.
Hi, thanks, Paul and Samantha, for doing this. I think it's fascinating and really inspiring what you're doing. And I wanted to ask a little bit about whether what kind of training you give teachers or how you talk to teachers about maybe institutional review boards. Maybe they go through that process with University of Birmingham, or maybe there's a process through the school to make sure that when the teachers are engaging in research that they're protecting their human subjects, their students, and then thinking ahead when they want to present and publish about those students, how they're protecting the institution and the students. And so if you could talk a little bit about that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so at the moment, we don't really have a IRB or anything of that sort. Like even with University of Birmingham, they've actually just been running the program now. It's their third or fourth year, I believe. And they also, I mean, we had this discussion with them about, okay, in order for it to go to a peer-reviewed journal, obviously you need to do all these steps. So that's one of the options we're exploring probably in the next year or so, where we have a different version of this program where we go through everything, to the ethical reviews, to the IRBs, to the academic writing of an article, the peer review process, all of that. At the moment, the schools, all the teachers already have completed safeguarding, the safeguarding process and everything. So we don't really have, they don't really necessarily go through anything right now, if that makes sense. Like there's no process for it now, but there are plans, because we know if we have to take these projects to the next step, then we need to introduce that ethical part of it.
Thanks. So just to clarify then, it sounds like the first step is it actually probably makes it very not intimidating for your teachers, because the practice that they're doing is really just to inform their own practice, not to push it out to the wider community. And so actually, I feel like it would be less intimidating for teachers to start when they think, oh, I'm doing this to serve myself. And then as they improve in their practice, they can become more and more professional and start to actually share outward to the education community.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's
because and
great
just
start.
to add to that, like I mean, we tell teachers from the beginning itself, like, don't choose an action research project that does not have any relevance to what you're doing in the classroom, to your practice, because that only makes it harder. And you kind of then lose interest. Choose something that you've already, like most teachers have already been thinking about something that they want to change in their classroom, or something that they see every day in and out, that, okay, if I did this small step, what would be the impact of that, just that like tiny step, what would be the impact of that? So we're telling them, just start there, and start with something that you already want to work on, and that way it just makes it easier for you to complete that action research project. And then the next step would be to, okay, how can we take this to, like, maybe test it out in another classroom, test it across the whole year group or the whole school. Those would be the next steps. Then we would introduce the other layers of research for them.
Excellent. Thanks, Marie. Other questions? Comments?
I have a question actually, Paul.
Yes, perfect.
Hi, Samantha. Thank you for your presentation. I feel very happy to hear actually what you presented because I'm working in Istanbul in a foundation, Health and Education Foundation. We have 4 high schools and 3 K-8 schools in 3 different cities in Turkey. And I'm the head of research and impact department at the foundation.
Okay.
So we have a similar program. It's very similar what you're doing there actually.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Our program is teacher researcher program, and teachers conduct their own action research like you do. So it's a 2-year program. In the first year, we are providing training for teachers. We are collaborating with an educator from Turku University in Finland. We provide 5 online sessions and 1 summer camp, let's say, in-person training session. And they're planning their own action research during this process. And in the second year, second academic year, they start their own action research, and we provide mentoring support to them. And we actually plan a mini conference like you do.
Oh, great.
After they finish their research. And again, we plan to create an informal journal for our teachers to make them visible in the school community. So I feel very happy to hear what you do in Dubai. And I'm wondering, what kind of support do you provide for teacher researchers? I mean, do you also provide a training period or mentoring?
So basically, University of Birmingham in Dubai, they provide the training. All of their sessions are online, and it's usually after the school day. So it's a 1-hour session, say like 4 to 5 p.m. after the teacher's school day. And these run throughout the year from October till about April was our last session. And then we do 4 in-person sessions on top of the training, where sometimes we invite our external partners. Sometimes we invite University of Birmingham to come to those sessions where they're able to get a little bit more hands-on support and guidance on their projects. But yeah, everything is designed. I mean, for us, the teachers completed in 1 year. So I'm actually really interested to hear from you if how does the 2-year, I mean, do you see benefit in extending it to 2 years? Is that more beneficial for teachers, you think?
Yeah, actually, we don't want to push teachers. I mean, we don't want them to obliged to finish their project in a limited period of time. That's why actually they can finish it earlier. It doesn't matter. But we want to give them an extended period of time so that they feel comfortable. That's why. And in the first year, actually, they are participating in the trainings, and they start to design their research. And in the second year, data collection, planning, everything happens in the second year, and they start to write their, research reports to share with their colleagues in their schools, etc. Actually, we are in the second cycle of our program. 5 teachers participated in the first cycle, and they're finished, but they're now writing their reports, writing their findings, and they are actually expected to finish their research by the end of this school year, by the end of June, let's say. And at the same time, we have another group of 25 teachers. They started their research journey this year, and we have a summer camp with them after school close. At the end of June. So we provide that time to make them feel more comfortable.
I think because that's one of the things also, like I touched upon, is, I mean, some teachers they actually don't complete their project, and like some of them are actually deferring it to next year. Like they've collected some of the data, but some of them feel like, okay, we need another year to complete it. So we don't really necessarily say, okay, you have to complete it this year because you signed up for this year. It's fine if you want to continue next year. Just let us know. Because again, you're right, we don't want to push them to be like, come on, you need to get this done. We want to give them enough time, enough space, because they're already got so much on their plate.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I'll be happy to contact for further discussion, actually.
Yeah, I would love to know what you guys are up to as well.
Okay, it sounds so good to hear multiple organizations doing similar things. I get asked a lot if there are schools doing this, and I have a few examples that I always pull out, but I'm going to make sure that I include Seer and Sev when I say, oh, there are schools doing this, right? And in a really organized, professional, nice way. Any additional questions? I once had a British professor who said Americans have no wait time whatsoever. So I'm trying to think British. Otherwise, I'm going to share a couple of resources for starters. So
but do I need to, let me just stop sharing.
Okay, here's just a couple of resources in the chat. I very recently spoke to a couple of people who have developed a subscription service at the school level that would cover anybody in the school that has just a lot of materials for finding your own way with action research. So if you're a school that wants to start something like this, but you don't know where to start, that would be an option to explore, My Research Box. I had the demonstration of what they had, and I immediately signed up again thinking of my own school. Even though we have a program similar to what Samantha has outlined for us, although nowhere near as many official partners and so on. And then I have my own little small thing that I do, but this is a free thing of any individual student teachers that are out there. So if there's a teacher doing some sort of project and doesn't have a community of practice, and the school isn't on board for starting something, or has other priorities, whatever it might be, that's a way for an individual teacher to get involved and get some support from other individual teachers doing the same. So a couple of resources there. The number of notes that I took of things, Samantha, that I think are absolutely key to make this work. I think you hit like so many of them, like all of them that I could ever think of and more. You mentioned you mentioned people being volunteers, but wanting to move it past that. I don't know if you really want to do that. I think the volunteer part is really important. Once you start working with those people who don't want to be involved, you have a whole different sort of culture. And what you're really doing is creating a culture, right? So you're trying to, like, by putting out the posters in the wall and by having teachers be able to write for your quest journal and having teachers come with to presentations and so on, you're creating this professionalism and kind of it sounds funny to say, but you're making your school a learning organization for real. You're really demonstrating it through the faculty, also to the students. So careful about moving to the everybody must do this.
I did forget to add one point actually in this, because we piloted this year. So I've yet to see the results of what's happened with that. So we've actually we've got a handful of IB students who are doing an action research project. They've I mean, I'm not sure how it's going because we haven't had a chance to catch up with them yet because of the exams and stuff. But a few of them have completed an action research project, and this is something we just wanted to pilot. We wanted to see which we have just done it in their international school. None of the other kids in other schools are doing this yet. But we just wanted to see, can we add students to this or not? And then how, and we're learning we've learned some lessons in this year, so we're going to see how we can, improve it for next year and how we can get them really engaged. But that's something we have tried. It's and
That's awesome.
everything that we've been doing actually the last 2 years have been very much trial and error, because we're still learning, we're still trying to figure out how do we make this work, how do we sustain it, how do we keep teachers motivated. Like that's the main challenge, I would say.
You have an action research project on top of all of your other action research projects, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
If
it
you
is
think of it that way.
it's a living, breathing action
It's
research project.
just fine. There's so many directions you could go with the student piece, right? You can have students working independently as a group on something with maybe a mentor, but you could also add a student or have an option where faculty members add a student or students to their project, right?
That was one of our thoughts as well. Yeah.
I think that would be amazing, because just think about how long students spend in K-12 education. And we have all these variety of courses for them, but very seldom do we have a course called like Education 101 and how education works and so on.
Yeah.
But there they would be directly involved automatically with mentors, with the teachers that are trying to.
Yeah.
That there's really good possibilities there.
Yeah.
Marie?
So that's something we're trying out, and then you'll hear from me
We'll hear
whether
more.
it works or not.
I bet we will. Marie has another question.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to jump on that about getting students involved. In my experience, I actually work in a secondary school, in a high school, and I teach an advanced research class to students alongside the AP research class. So those students are doing their own individual research projects. And it's so, I think, engaging and inspiring for them to, for me to be learning alongside with them. So the way I taught them about analyzing to do a thematic analysis of qualitative data is I spread out a lot of my qualitative data from my focus group. And I was like, let's sort these into different categories and let's talk about codes and themes that these are showing us. And so being able to have conversations with the students about that was really fantastic, because we have, I work in a very high performing school where plenty of students spend a lot of money to private companies like Pioneer to be able to get a research credential and a published peer-reviewed paper on their college applications. Wow. So I think the idea of being able to engage the students so that they can be research assistants alongside with us, I think will be really powerful for them to put together a research poster and present alongside us at a conference, virtual or otherwise, to our community or to the larger community. So I think it's a great learning opportunity for them and a great teaching opportunity for us too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Samantha, do you want, I mean, if people scanned in SEER, they'll have your contact information, but do you want?
Yeah, that takes you directly to our LinkedIn page. You're welcome to email us.
I was going to ask, because I bet some people would like to follow up. Emma.
Yeah, definitely. Please email, please add me on LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn. We're more than happy to share what we've learned in these last 2 years.
Yeah. I remember from talking earlier, I was impressed, and now I'm like overwhelmed impressed. I can't
thank you
how
so
far
much.
you've come in 2 years. It's just absolutely amazing. So.
But I mean, that's just a testament to show you there's an appetite for it, and the teachers really are ready to put in the work, and they want to do it. I mean, if we didn't have these teachers engaged and stuff, we wouldn't really be able to do anything. So it really shows that there is a need for it. Teachers are ready to do it. We just need to make it easy for them to do it. That's our goal. Yeah.
Really pushing the professionalism of the profession, right? Really making people feel very good about the professionals that they already are.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Like you actually said with your journal, it's like, well, it's just reporting. It's not like a peer-reviewed journal, or it's not, that is though awesome. And I think more people are going to read the reporting what went on in a classroom than are going to read the peer-reviewed journal articles anyway. It's still good. It's still a good goal, I think, to have some people who want to go that route to support them. But people like to read like Medium and those kinds of things online, which are really accessible, like really what's happening in a classroom. And I think that's super important, and that's where you can really contribute to the field as well.
Yeah.
So, thank you, everybody. Thanks, ECIS, and Samantha, and everybody who came, and everybody who eventually listens to the recording. So thank you very
Thank you so much for having me.
much. Yeah,
Anne's here.
looking forward to future collaboration.